somebody rings up and says, do you do this? No, we don't. Okay, thank you. And what makes me laugh, that receptionist thinks she's doing a good job. She thinks she's doing her job by going yes and no. So I answered the question. You did answer the question. But you also failed to answer it in a way that made it even a 5% chance that that guy might come back. Well, we offer the pamper packages, obviously, which they're not going to be spa, serenity, you know. Well, if they start to use those words, yeah, like that's. No, you just be honest and say, well, listen, what we do have a package, like a pamper package program where people are very happy and they come in and they get half an hour or 60 minutes worth of treatment, and we can, you know, relax muscles, we can make you feel nice, relaxed, whatever you want to be. But if you're looking for crystals and balls and fucking cucumbers on your eyes and all that stuff, that's like. Right now that isn't us, unless somebody wants to go to Morrison's and get, get the cue.
As I was explaining it, wasn't going to be that, and I said, I don't know that, but she was like, oh no, I don't think so.
No, it doesn't sound like it. But you do your best to explain what you've got, and then if people like it, they go for it. If they don't, they don't. That's again, and by the way, that's a good point, right? Because on the face of that, again, so many receptionists would just go, no we don't, yes we do. And simply by saying, well listen, this is our version of what we think you're looking for, and giving them an explanation of what it's about and how it can help them. Even if he says no at this moment in time, he says what you've just said there, great, at least I know. I used to go mad with people at the beginning when they didn't say, we have 4 clinics. And they'd say, oh, well, he's addressed us in Hartlepool. I was like, I don't care. Like, because I need him to know that we have one in Gisborne, Darlington and Durham, because guess what you might have? Friends who live in Darlington, Durham and Gisborne. And whenever that would go on, you're missing an opportunity to really sell yourself. And again, you know, when people say, oh, I don't like selling, it's like, you don't have to sell. If you just communicate in the right way with people and talk to them in a way that gives you the best shot that they will tell people about you, you'll be 10 times more successful than anybody else. And that's a classic example. In fact, it's absolutely fabulous that will be going on every day, everywhere in the world, in somebody's office or shop, where somebody rings up and says, do you do this? No, we don't. Okay, thank you. And what makes me laugh, that receptionist thinks she's doing a good job. She thinks she's doing her job by going yes and no. So I answered the question. You did answer the question. But you also failed to answer it in a way that made it even a 5% chance that that guy might come back. Now, he may never come back, but we did everything that we could to make sure that if and when he ever does want a sports massage, and or his friends want a sports massage, there's a shot that he'll talk about us. That's why the word of mouth referrals are through the roof. Like on steroids, because if you communicate in that type of way, then you give people a chance to actually talk about you, rather than no. So there's always opportunities like that everywhere, where when you're having conversations, well, just to let you know, this is what we can do. You know, even on this occasion, it's not right for you, but I just wanted to let you know. And again, taking that extra 2 or 3 minutes, for example, on a follow-up call, well, hey, listen, it's not right for you now, but just to let you know, this is what we do. You've just planted a seed in my brain. And that is ultimately what sells without selling. That's what sells products and services without ever having to sell it. But if you never tell me about it, I can never even begin to start to think that you may be able to have that, nor do I ever know that I'm going to need it. And then even when the day comes around that I do want it, I don't know where to go. And yet I've interacted with a clinic that could. It happens in American clients all the time, where there'll be, it amazes them that a patient comes back after 4 years and says, I didn't even know you did knees. I didn't even know you did necks. You know, I just thought you did backs. I didn't even know you did sports injuries. You know, I just thought you did, like, you know, ankle pain for people who went for a walk. I didn't know you did sports injuries.
And Americans say E like we do.
No. No. No, not at all. And it amazes me that they think that that's unnormal. It amazes me that other business owners think it's unnormal. In fact, it's borderline ignorance. Ignorance to what little you've done to enlighten your customer of what you actually do and can do for them. If you're getting a patient coming in here going, I've been coming here for 3 years and I didn't even know you did massages, or I didn't even know you could buy certificates for gift vouchers, and like you're going to be stood there going, well, that's been on the wall for 3 years, or that one's been on the wall for 3 years, or when the Pilates class one was there, you know, somebody could be sat talking to you there for week after week after week. Hey, do you know anywhere that does good Pilates classes? And you're going, well, that's been there for forever. Like, you take for granted that they see all this stuff and that they know all this stuff. And the same thing happens, physios, and we just genuinely assume that everybody knows that we treat like an elbow, a knee, an ankle, or whatever, and they haven't got a clue. They see their situation at that moment in time, and they think that if they've been to you for back pain, guess what everybody else is coming to you for? Back pain. If they've come in for foot pain, that's what they think that you're good at. Does he do, so again, the conversation around like the coffee shop or the water cooler, as they call it. So have you been going to physio? Yeah, I've been getting my back treatment. Oh, is it good? Yeah, they're great with backs. Oh, is that what they do? Yeah, they're good with backs. Oh, well, my neck's hurting, so I'll have to go somewhere else. Like that's what it is. And it's the same probably with law. Like when you came in, you know, again, they'll take for granted that they think everybody will know that that company will do wills, probate, like family law, criminal law, the whole thing. Yet the conversation with the criminal who's just got out of prison is like, oh, these guys are great, they get you out of prison. Oh, that's a shame. Like, I'm getting divorced. He's not going to go, oh, well, I think I saw a sign and, you know, Mrs. Jones, family law, you know, get divorced here type of thing going on. Like, that conversation doesn't go on. So therefore, it's over to the business owner to have that conversation, or to make sure that those people know that that's what you do as well. And do they? I did a will with Tilly Bailey Irvine a few weeks ago. Did I get any form of communication with them off them at any point that said, just to let you know, we also do this, this and this? Nope. Criminal. Really? Is there such a thing? And yet, that same solicitor, right, and this is the kicker. So, multi-million, probably. Turnover, would you say? Tilly's? What, million plus though?
Yeah, million plus.
Million plus, okay. So $1 million plus business, right? 7-figure business. You'd like to assume that there's a few people who, you know what the hell's going on in business. So they do a will. How can they make money on a £100 will from me?
Also, we do conveyancing.
So this is where I'm going with it. So that law firm has had to do a call with me, then a meeting with me, then go away and draft stuff up, send stuff out in the post to me about 6 times because I didn't respond to it the first time, have a second meeting with me to go back, have a second meeting with me to go down to confirm everything that they spoke, and then everybody has to sign it off and it gets sent off to some vault somewhere for like the day that I die, right? It's got to be more than 100 quid's worth of work in it for a lawyer. Has to be, yeah? So if their whole intention is to hook me into that company with a lead generator, which is what it is, it's their version of our free reports. And yet not one of them has gone, just to let you know, at any point in the letter, they've sent me five letters through the post, right? Stuck a stamp on it. What's the cost these days? Quid?
63 pence.
63 pence, even with a franking machine, 60 pence, right? Not one of them in any of those letters has gone with a little leaflet about conveyancing. Keep this in case you get locked up. Keep this in case you want to get divorced. Keep this in case like you do need a probate or somebody in your family dies. Keep this if there's an issue regarding other stuff that I don't even know that I'm going to run into in the next 5 or 10 years. What would that have took? And more importantly, how much business would that company have generated on the back end of that? Even if one person in 10 who gets that letter goes, oh, didn't know you did that, and makes a call, and that leads to £1,000 conveyancing, and then conveyancing go, oh well, whatever else we do that we can help you with that you didn't even know, or that we can serve that or solve that need for you in your life right now, life insurance or like whatever. All of a sudden, the revenue is 2 million and 3 million instead of 1 million. It's that simple. Like, it really, really is. So that what you've just said there was such a simple thing. And yet, like, my eyes light up at stuff like that, because that's the knock-on effect, that's the domino effect in business, that if everybody in the business communicates like that, all of a sudden you've got hundreds of people understanding what you do, even though they've said no today. Even if the 20% rule kicks in, which normally it does, those 20%, if you did that 10 times, 20% of those people would come back. I 1,000,000,000% guarantee, and in fact of everything. That if you do that 10 times, 2 out of 10 will take the bait. And then that guy comes in for a sports massage and his wife sits in reception and says, oh, my back's hurting. Do you do anything for backs? Yeah, we have backs, come on in. All of a sudden, one innocuous 30-second phone call turned a massage client into a repeat lifelong customer, which usually those guys are. Brought his wife down for treatment, she spent 1,000 with us. She told her Auntie Sue, who came in, and she bought some orthotics and booked a year of care plan. And before we know it, we're 4 or 5 grand up for one simple conversation that most secretaries would go, nope. In fact, most secretaries would go, no, we don't do anything like that here, love. No, try Google. That would be the typical response that you would get from most. Like, they would never give you any time to explain it. So lessons learned, and have a think on that, how you can get that in. Even if a customer says no or doesn't like the price or whatever, don't assume that that's the end of the relationship. In fact, this is the moral of today. This is brilliant. That even if it's a no, categorically do not assume that it's the end of the relationship. If you just add another 2 or 3 minutes to the end of the phone call to explain it and help them to understand it, even if they've said no, and even if they're not going to book, and even if it's not the product that they want at this moment in time, it's very worth doing. Yeah. So it's back to the DNAs and the drop-offs. It's the same thing. It's like, or the people who don't show. It's taking the time to speak to those people in a way that they can understand it. A big thing that I put out on Facebook yesterday about my book, right? I started writing a new book, and I put on it, this is very interesting, I put on it, started writing a book, and everyone was like, what's it about? So I said, it's about the number one thing that patients don't like to do, right? Does anyone see it?
Yeah, sorry. And
everybody underneath, right, all the like physios were going, pay their bills, show up on time, like, you know, yeah, getting it all off their chest, right? Like, so it was do exercises, pay their bills, pay their copay, show up on time, actually show up. It was like a rant, and like one woman went off and did about 5 things, and I almost, in fact, I did actually start typing something along the lines of, well, is that their fault or yours? Because in my world, that's my fault. If I have a repeated number of customers that don't want to pay my bills, if I have a repeat number of clients who don't want to show up, if I have a repeat number of clients who drop off or who will not pay because of price, guess whose fault that is? Yours truly's. Not the patient's. Because everybody's looking at it at point, right? At the cause, sorry, the effect. So what they describe there is the effect. They go, oh, the patient doesn't want to pay the bill. What do you mean they don't like paying the bill? They don't have an issue paying the bill in Argos today.
So they're not seeing the true value.
Correct, absolutely. They're not having an issue paying their bill in Toys R Us. They don't have an issue paying their Sky bill. They don't have an issue paying their restaurant bill, their cigarettes bill, their alcohol bill, their Virgin Atlantic bill when it comes through the door next month for a flight that they've booked in January because they've got the Christmas blues that they couldn't afford. So it'll always go back to, again, the way that you communicate, the value of what you do. So where I'm going with that is, it's very easy to think that even if a patient's dropping off, that they just don't want to pay, they don't value PT or whatever. The real conversation has to be, what did we do so that, or what did we do wrong, or what didn't we do so that they didn't understand the value enough that they would want to show up? And that is the resentment that I feel a lot in this profession all over the world, that you see a drop off, or you look and go, these patients, sure, they don't respect us. Now, yeah, there's a line and there's a point, but for most people, when they do get drop offs or no shows or patients who are not paying bills, what the hell are they taking them on for anyway? But more importantly, what are they doing wrong at the front end so that the patient devalues or has such a lack of respect for the whole thing going on anyway? So, and I did this with a lady yesterday on a call, and she said the same. She was like, oh, I keep getting these patients who don't want to pay, they're from low value areas. And I was like, oh, that makes no difference. Like, what do you mean low value areas? And they have this thing in their head that like, just because they live in certain areas, they're not gonna pay for like their health or whatever. It's like, well, and again, I said it, they'll be out around Philadelphia all weekend, drinking, smoking, shopping, buying clothes and shoes that they don't need. Why? Somebody's done a very good job of convincing them that it's a good idea to spend $100 on another pair of shoes that they don't need. You haven't done a very good job of helping them understand why they need to spend 150 with you. And if you live in that place, it's a lot easier to be successful than it is to blame the patient and get sucked into all the crap. Now look, that's what 8 out of 10 businesses do, and that's why they're dreadfully unsuccessful. And they'll spend 30, 40 years, it's back to the solicitors. That will go on, and has gone on probably for 50 years. If somebody 50 years ago had said to that company, I have a good idea. Let's just stick a few leaflets or a few, respond to this if you need this, because we're going to have to post this out anyway. Let's actually try and make some money on sods like me who don't reply for 5 letters. Because we're going to have to send them 63 pence worth of stamp to get through to them. Why don't we see if we can sell them someone else? The difference that would have made over a period of years would have been astronomical, and that's one tiny change to a business. Whoever owns that business would be dining out in Hollywood, with Robbie Williams as his neighbour right now, if he'd have done that, and that's no exaggeration. And then that's just one. And then you look at the next little touch point going on, and you make a little change to that, and you make a little change to that, and over a period of time, boom, it's beyond belief how big it is. So the physios, again, the same thing is they look at what everybody else is doing rather than what they can do, and it's the same with us. We've got to look at what we can do. So if you are getting drop-offs, or you are getting people who are not shown, traditionally you'll get it more at this time of year because you're going to get more car crash type stuff. And I'm never really as concerned as much about the car crash type stuff. People don't show up as I am about private patients not showing up because they're not doing something right if private not showing up. However, if it's car crash type stuff, and the percentage of the number of people who are not showing up is a little bit high right now, it happens because there's more volume of car crash because the cold, ice, damp, wet coming through basically. So just make sure you look at that, and if you see a number rise in the number of privates, something's going wrong. If you see a spike in the number of referrals, and then you see a spike in the number of drop-offs or no-shows, it's usually the correlation is that they're RTA type patients who, they're going through a process. Whereas the privates need to be, that's the bread and butter of the business. Makes sense? So that, again, I think the moral of that one is it's 100% in our control. If you see patients ever as, that was just classic. There was business owners must have just been waiting to dive into that. The number one, and I actually didn't even think that anybody would. The number one thing the patients don't want to do, show up, pay the bills. And I'm like, it really does piss me off because I just think do you just think that it's attack against you? Do you just think that it's you? That it's you that they're not showing up for, it's you that they don't want to pay your bill for. As if you're doing them a service. And that's the mentality really where that comes from. If you see a business owner who's oh, these bloody patients, it's well, what are you doing wrong that they treat or dim or see you so low that they don't want to pay the bill? And why are you taking them on? Why are you feeling as though you have to? And then their response will be, we need the revenue or whatever. It's go and learn a new way to get patients through the door. Don't want to do it. So they'll spend 30 years with those types of cynical, crappy responses. Nothing will change.